What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have had a couple weeks of the new format now, and well, we kind of know what changed already. North American Nationals is coming up pretty quickly as well. We have the South American one this weekend and other events each week as we go. So I wanted to go ahead and give us an updated tier list as to what we're looking forward to before, well, national season, because Worlds is coming quick and then we get our really fun band list, but that's not what we're here to do today. So nationals for North America, South America, everyone else who has not had them yet, what can you expect? Despia is going to be one of our tier 1.5 decks. There's a sizable gap between the tier 1 and then 1.5. If you're wondering where we're taking this information from, down below is a spreadsheet that I have been working on for the last couple formats now, and it tracks top 8s for regionals, tops for nationals, wins for events. I try to link as many deck lists as possible, things like that. Dragon Link also going to come in at 1.5. I believe these decks are number 2 and 4, or 3 and 4 respectively as far as total tops go. They're both decks that you definitely should expect to see, and they are both decks that are capable of winning an event. Flunder, this deck actually has a win under its belt as well, and while the tops aren't quite as high as these decks, I believe they have almost 4% of the top cut representation, so it's definitely a deck that you want to be ready for. Being able to take advantage of things like Dimension Shifter and just going first very, very well. Flunder is a deck that, well, if you don't know what it does now, I don't know what to tell you because it's been around for quite a while. Go look it up, go figure it out so you do not get caught off guard. Gold Pride, we actually saw without the Punk engine this deck do good. I think it's better with the Punk engine personally, because then you're paying your life points, which means you have less life points, which turns on a lot of your Gold Pride engine. However, I'm going to put them as a good rogue strategy. The ban list came, the ban list went, and Kashitra is still the number 1 deck of the format with the most tops and the most wins still. This deck is going to get hit again after national season. However, for right now, it is still the best deck of the format, but it is a much better format if you ask me. The format's open. There's so many different decks that can win. Like, there's going to be a handful of decks in 1.5 as well. Any 1 or 1.5 deck could easily win an event, and we've already seen some of the tier 2 decks win events as well. So don't sleep on like any of these decks. A good pilot on the right day with this rogue deck, well, any of these rogue decks when you see, could win the event too. So don't be like, oh well, it's in rogue, it's not going to be that good. Don't sleep on it. That's all I'm saying. Labyrinth, while they just took down the Germany Nationals, or as some want to say Eradicator did, I'm going to still put them as a 1.5 deck. Whether you want to play the trap build or the furniture build, I think that Labyrinth, it's one of those things where it seems like in early format, no one respects backrow, and Labyrinth always does a lot better. And then people start to respect it more, and it starts to dip off as the format goes on. I don't quite understand it. I've always had this respect for backrow decks. However, I think that Labyrinth is a deck that you have to be ready for, whether you're maining your Ash Blossoms like you should. Ghost Bell's a pretty solid card to side, and then again, backrow removal. Manadium, well, when this deck was first coming out, I may have been a little too high on them. However, they did move up from the rogue category, I think, this format, and they're coming in strong with just over 2% of top cut representation, which I'm going to put them as a tier 2 strategy. Marincess is still one of those decks that is there. It is very consistent, 1-card starters, and has a lot of room for hand traps, go second cards, toolbox cards, what have you. Another deck that can play a bunch of hand traps. Circular to 1, deck to tier 2. Mathmech is still around, Mathmech is still strong, it's still consistent. You still have Signet Mining, you still have Small World, you still have your one circular, you still have so many different ways into combo, so Mathmech is still going to be a strong tier 2 deck. Sprite Melfi, where do I want to put Sprite Melfi? I'm going to put them 1.5. I don't think it's the best Sprite variant. However, I think it's a very good Sprite variant. Yeah, we have a lot of Sprite variants down here, as you can see, because I think they are worth breaking up and noting differently. Mechanical, their mechanic is interesting. Kinda, your opponent takes the damage, like the reflection damage. It's ritual summoning. It's different. I'm not the biggest fan of it. However, the deck's actually decent. I'm gonna put it in the rogue category. I don't think I can put it any higher, but yeah, the deck is actually decent, and it's topped a couple events. Plunder Patrol, I think, is a really strong rogue deck. For some reason, it is also like other decks where they've been around for a while, and for some reason people just do not know what they do, it seems like. And this is one of them decks that can be really good, especially because it has a solid Kashitra matchup, because Jord can give them a token, which means they can't special summon anything, so they have to open Rise Art or open Birth plus a monster, or, you know, normal hand trap, go into Donner, different things like that. But you definitely alter their playline quite a bit just by doing your normal plays. Pirelli, where's Pirelli? Well, they got hit delicious to 1. I'm going to have them as a tier 2 deck because they have a decent amount of tops, at least still this format. And yeah, the deck is definitely hurt, but it gets in the Duelist Nexus. They get the basically the rank 2 Nor, and then I think the deck is going to creep on back up. So if you want to pick up this deck, now would be a better time to do it. Rika Sun Avalon. Man, the numbers put it as the top of tier 2, but I think that's just because it's a hard deck to pilot and not many people do. However, as far as how good the deck actually is, I'm going to put it up at tier 1.5. I think the deck is that good, and you better know what it does at this point. Like, when it's been in the rogue / low tier 2, people are like, probably won't play it, it's fine, I'll take the loss if I get it. Now it's to the point where if you don't know what Rika does, you may as well might not even top an event. Like, we just saw it get top, I think it was like 4th and 5th place at Germany. There's a top 8 and top 4 for sure, along with another one. And then it's been topping regionals too. It would be, like I said, by the numbers, high tier, the best tier 2 deck. But as far as looking further into it beyond just total tops, because representation also is something that comes into play, I think it's a very good tier 1.5 deck. Super Heavy Samurai. I'm gonna have to change their picture for this because this almost feels like a slap in the face having Scarecrow still. They still top, but for now at least they're going down in our rogue category. Sprite Twin. Where do I think Sprite Twin is worse than Melfi. I'm gonna put them in tier 2. These aren't, I know I just put it up here, these aren't necessarily in order either, just because I don't know, sometimes I do things because I feel like it. Sprite Runick for hire, I'm gonna put them up here in tier 1.5. Kind of with Melfi, I think these two Sprite variants are better than this one. Sprite Runick for hire, it's a deck that generates just so much advantage with your Runick engine, with the draws off the for hire engine. And then you just get into all your little twos with the Sprite engine. Staying on the Sprite train, Sprite Runick Twin. Well, there's no debating it. This deck actually for the first week of the format had the most tops, and Kashitra was a couple behind, but Kashitra had the wins to back it up. Kashitra has since then caught up with the tops as well, but these two are neck and neck, and then there's a very big gap between the next deck. And I think that Like, it's, again, worth noting that Sprite should be split up based on the variance. Sky Striker, hey, we got engaged to 2. Is that enough to push this deck up? I'll give you a solid Rogue on Sky Striker. Until we see it do a little bit more, I still think Sky Striker is not the best deck. Sword Soul. I was actually kind of surprised. I thought Sword Soul was going to do better, but I'm going to leave them as tier 2. They do have a regional win, and they have a handful of tops, but yeah, I don't know if the representation is just that low or what, but I really expected Sword Soul to do more because they're doing really good last format, and then they actually got a useful card back in Danglong, and it seems like they're doing worse. So, you know, I don't know. I thought they'd be doing better, I guess. Synchron. Here we go, another Rogue deck. I saw it has topped both weekends now, so multiple people are topping with this, and they get Assault Synchron this Friday. So Synchron, definitely a deck you want to keep an eye out on. Dragon Link also I've seen being one of those decks that's going to play the Assault Synchron, so we'll see how that shakes up the format. Other Synchro based decks, Sword Soul, Mana Dome. Do I really think they're going to? I don't know. We'll see how the innovation goes as we move forward. Tearlaments. Well, they got absolutely slaughtered on the ban list, and they're back. They're a very decent tier 2 deck, actually. Whenever I play against this deck, it feels like they're way more consistent than they should be, given all the hits that they have. Traptrix, we're going to come in and put them as our final rogue deck today. Not a whole lot to say. Their Traptrix, trap-based strategies seem to not always be the best. We know that. They have decent matchups with some of the better decks, and then other decks where it kind of just comes down to, if you're playing a trap deck, Labyrinth is just the better of the two. Vanquish Soul. Tops, they're actually like 4th or 5th. However, when you look at their wins, they're actually 2nd. So they're debatably right near the top of 1.5. Yeah, the deck, I was like, oh, it'll be low tier 2 rogue. I don't think it's going to be that great right off the bat. Maybe a couple more banless hits and it could actually be a tier 1 deck. It's probably one of the closer decks to pushing tier 1 out of that 1.5 category already. So I was a little off on that. But yeah, so here is kind of what I think you should be looking at if you still have your nationals, with Kashitra and Sprite Runick Twin being at the top, Vanquish, Despia, Dragon Link, Labyrinth, Rika, other Sprite variants being that 1.5 category, and then decks like Flunderies, Sprite Twin, but most people are definitely on with the Runick engine, but Flunder, you know, pure Sprite, the last of the Sprite builds, Tearlaments, Manadium, Sword Soul, fitting because those two decks are so similar, mathmech, Pirelli, all like tier 2, and then decks that you probably won't play, but you shouldn't be surprised if you do in our rogue category. So that's where we're at with the format, guys. Let me know down below what you think, and